From the ashes, the galaxy had forgotten Earth. 3,000 years had passed since the homeworld of humanity had been reduced to a smoldering ruin. Its once blue oceans boiled away, its cities turned to ash. The Dominion, a coalition of 7 advanced alien species, had deemed humans too dangerous to be allowed to spread among the stars. Their ambition, their adaptability, their relentless drive to push boundaries, these traits marked them as a future threat that needed to be eliminated before it could mature. Or so the Dominion had believed. In the grand atrium of the Galactic Council on Iltheris Prime, Ambassador Vexnar of the Krell species adjusted his ceremonial robes as he prepared to address the gathered representatives. The Krell, with their obsidian scales and imposing height of nearly 3 meters, had been among the architects of Earth's destruction. Distinguished members of the Council, Vexnar began, his voice a rumbling bass that resonated through the chamber. I bring troubling news from the outer reaches of the Persepheius Arm. The chamber, filled with representatives from over 200 species, fell silent. The Persepheius Arm had been a quiet region for millennia, home to mining outposts and research stations, but little else of significance. 3 of our monitoring stations have gone silent in the past standard month. The last transmission from Station Gamma 9 included anomalous energy readings unlike anything in our records. Vexnar paused, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. The station commander reported seeing an unidentified fleet before communications were lost. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Uncharted ships were rare in an age where the Dominion maintained strict control over interstellar travel. The data packet from Gamma 9 included partial sensor readings. Vexnar continued. Our analysis indicates technology with concerning similarities to old Earth designs. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of voices. Earth was a name from history texts, a cautionary tale of Dominion justice. The idea that humans might have survived was preposterous. High Counselor Thrana of the Azurian Collective raised a slender 6-fingered hand, and the chamber fell silent once more. Ambassador Vexnar, are you suggesting that after 3 millennia, humans have somehow returned? The purge was thorough. Our historical records confirm this. Vexnar's scales darkened, a sign of discomfort among the Krell. The evidence is inconclusive, but troubling. I have dispatched the 3rd Fleet to investigate. In the shadows of the chamber's upper gallery, a figure watched the proceedings with cold, calculating eyes. Admiral Helena Vega of the Terran Reclamation Force had aged well, thanks to the life extension technologies developed during humanity's exile. At 173 years old, she appeared to be in her early 40s, her black hair streaked with silver, her face bearing only faint lines around her eyes and mouth. The holographic disguise that made her appear as a minor Jexari diplomat would hold up to casual inspection, but not to a detailed scan. She needed to be gone before the council's session ended. As she slipped away from the gallery, Helena allowed herself a small smile. The Dominion was finally beginning to realize that their thorough purge had failed. Humanity had not perished with Earth. When the Dominion fleet arrived to destroy humanity's homeworld, a desperate plan had already been set in motion. Hundreds of colony ships, hidden in the shadow of Saturn and its moons, had fled to the far reaches of unexplored space, while Earth fought its final doomed battle. For 3,000 years, humanity had hidden, built, and planned. The descendants of Earth had established colonies and systems beyond the Dominion's knowledge, carefully erasing their trails and operating in the shadows. One generation had passed its mission to the next: survival, growth, and eventually, retribution. Helena made her way to the spaceport, her gait measured and unhurried, despite the excitement coursing through her veins. The Council was about to learn a harsh lesson about the species they had tried to exterminate. Aboard her stealth ship, the Prometheus, Helena removed her holographic disguise and settled into the command chair. Her executive officer, Commander Takashi Yamamoto, looked up from his station. "Did they take the bait, Admiral?" Helena nodded. "The Krell are dispatching the 3rd Fleet to Persepheius. Exactly as we predicted. Takashi's face split into a grim smile. The Third Fleet is formidable. Almost a quarter of the Dominion's military strength in that sector. And about to walk into our trap, Helena replied, activating the ship's communications. Send word to General Santos. Operation Lazarus is proceeding as planned. The Third Fleet will be diverted to Persephone, leaving the Centauri Gate vulnerable. The plan had been centuries in the making. The Turan Reclamation Force had planted false evidence of human activity in the Persephone arm, while their actual strike force prepared to emerge through the Centauri Gate, a critical junction in the Dominion's network of artificial wormholes that allowed faster-than-light travel between distant systems. While the Prometheus slipped undetected from Iltherus Prime, another meeting was taking place billions of kilometers away. On the command ship Retribution, the 7 generals of the Turan Reclamation Force gathered around a holographic display of the galactic map. General Elias Santos, Supreme Commander of the TRF, studied the display with eyes that had seen too many battles across too many stars. The fleet is assembled and ready. 3,000 years of preparation has led to this moment. The human fleet was unlike anything the Dominion had ever faced. Humanity had not been idle during their exile. They had scavenged technology from abandoned outposts, captured and reverse-engineered Dominion ships, and developed their own innovations born from the desperate need to survive against overwhelming odds. "What of the Nexus?" asked General Americhen, commander of the Science Division. The Nexus was humanity's greatest achievement and most closely guarded secret. A vast artificial intelligence constructed over centuries, it coordinated the movements of the entire human fleet, processing information and making tactical decisions far faster than any organic mind could. "The Nexus is online and integrated with all ships," replied General Chen. "It predicts a 78% chance of success for the initial strike, with acceptable losses." Santos nodded. "Then we proceed as planned. In 24 hours, we reclaim our place in the galaxy and begin the reckoning that has been 3,000 years coming." The human fleet was vast, over 500 warships ranging from agile fighters to massive dreadnoughts. Each vessel incorporated technology that had been refined beyond anything the Dominion possessed. Gravitational weapons that could tear ships apart from the inside, quantum-entangled communications that could not be intercepted or jammed, and defensive systems that adapted in real time to enemy attacks. As the final preparations were made, Helena's ship rejoined the fleet. She had one more duty before the attack began, a tradition that had been maintained since the fall of Earth. In the memorial chamber of the Retribution, Helena stood before a wall bearing the names of the billions who had died when Earth fell. At the center of the wall was a glass case containing a handful of soil, the last Earth from Earth, passed down through the generations, a tangible reminder of what had been lost and what they fought to avenge. "We remember," Helena said, her voice clear in the hushed chamber. "We remember Earth. We remember those who fell. We carry their legacy in our blood and in our resolve." "We remember," echoed the assembled officers. 3,000 years ago, the Dominion sought to erase humanity from the galaxy. Helena continued. "They failed. Tomorrow, we begin the reckoning. Not just for vengeance, but for justice. For the right of humanity to exist among the stars without fear." As the ceremony concluded, Helena returned to the bridge. The fleet was moving into position near the Centauri Gate, hidden from the Dominion sensors by technology that bent light and other electromagnetic radiation around their ships. "All ships report ready, Admiral," Takashi announced. Helena took her seat in the command chair, her expression set with grim determination. "Commence Operation Lazarus." Across the fleet, engines flared to life as humanity prepared to announce its return to a galaxy that had thought them extinct. The reckoning had begun. The reckoning. The Centauri Gate hung in space like a massive metallic wreath, its inner ring pulsing with exotic energies that bridged the vast distances between star systems. It was one of the Dominion's most valuable assets, a critical junction in their network of artificial wormholes that allowed rapid travel and trade across their territory. The gate was defended by a standard complement of Dominion warships, 12 cruisers, and their fighter escorts, enough to handle pirates or minor incursions, but woefully inadequate for what was coming. Stealth systems disengaging in 3, 2, 1, announced the tactical officer aboard the Retribution. As one, the 500 ships of the Terran Reclamation Force shimmered into visibility, their hulls catching the light of distant stars. The effect was deliberately theatrical, humanity announcing its return with undeniable presence. Aboard the Dominion command cruiser Unyielding Law, Sub-Commander Drex stared at his sensor display in disbelief. Where moments before there had been empty space, now there was a fleet of unknown design, its formation precise and threatening. "Impossible," he whispered before finding his voice. "Alert all ships. Unknown fleet has appeared at coordinates Delta 7. Before the Dominion vessels could organize a response, the human fleet opened fire. Advanced targeting systems guided gravitational weapons that bypassed the Dominion's shields entirely, warping spacetime around and within their ships. 3 cruisers imploded instantly, their hulls crumpling like paper as the fundamental forces holding their atoms together were manipulated with surgical precision. "Target the gate's defense systems, but preserve the gate itself," General Santos ordered from the command deck of the Retribution. "We need it intact for Phase 2. The human attack was methodical and overwhelming. Fighters swarmed the remaining Dominion cruisers, their weapons cutting through armor with ease. Within minutes, the entire defensive fleet had been neutralized, with only a few escape pods jettisoning from the doomed vessels. "Let them go," Helena instructed when a junior officer asked if they should destroy the escape pods. "We want survivors to spread the word. Humanity has returned." With the defensive fleet eliminated, the human forces moved to secure the gate. Specialized ships approached the massive structure, deploying devices that interfaced with its control systems. "We have control of the gate," reported General Chen. "Recalibrating for Phase 2. The Centauri gate's inner ring began to glow more intensely as its destination was altered. Instead of connecting to the Dominion core worlds as designed, it now linked to a hidden human staging area where a second fleet waited. As the gate flared to life, another 300 human ships emerged, these carrying not just weapons but colony vessels and resource extraction equipment. The human plan wasn't simply to strike and retreat. It was to establish a permanent foothold in Dominion space. Meanwhile, distress calls from the destroyed Centauri Defense Fleet reached Dominion command centers. The response was immediate but confused. The concept of a human attack was so alien that many commanders initially assumed it was a mistaken identification or a new unknown species. On Iltheris Prime, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Ambassador Vexnar's earlier warning about potential human activity now seemed prophetic, though the attack had come from an entirely different sector than anticipated. "How is this possible?" demanded High Counselor Thranna, her usual composure shattered. "Humans were exterminated 3 millennia ago." Vexinar's scales had darkened to a deep charcoal, a sign of extreme stress among the Krell. "Evidently, some escaped our purge. They have been hiding, building their strength. The attack force at the Centauri Gate numbers over 800 vessels," reported the Dominion's Grand Strategist, a Moravian with a mind specialized for military calculations. "Their technology appears to be significantly advanced beyond our current capabilities." "Impossible," exclaimed Counselor Jet of the Saurian Imperium. "They were primitives when we destroyed their world. They had barely mastered basic interplanetary travel." 3,000 years is a long time, Vexnar replied grimly. "And necessity is a powerful motivator for innovation." As the Council debated, the human offensive expanded. From the captured Centauri Gate, strike forces jumped to secondary targets, mining colonies, research stations, and smaller military outposts. Each attack was precise, with minimal collateral damage but maximum strategic impact. Aboard the Eclipse, a stealth reconnaissance vessel on the edge of Iltheris Prime's system. Captain Maya Rodriguez monitored the panic spreading through Dominion communications. "They're scrambling," she reported to Admiral Helena via quantum-entangled comms. "The Dominion High Command has recalled the Third Fleet from Persephone, but they're 4 days out at maximum speed." "Perfect," Helena replied. "That gives us time for Phase 3. What's the status of the Nexus integration?" "Complete," Maya confirmed. "We've tapped into 70% of the Dominion's communication network. The Nexus is processing their military deployments faster than their own commanders can." The Nexus was proving to be humanity's greatest advantage. The vast artificial intelligence could process information from thousands of sources simultaneously, identifying patterns and predicting Dominion responses before they materialized. In the 3 days that followed, humanity's offensive expanded methodically. Rather than striking at heavily populated worlds, they targeted military and industrial infrastructure, crippling the Dominion's ability to respond effectively. On the 4th day, as the Third Fleet approached the Centauri sector, humanity sprung its trap. The Third Fleet emerged from FTL to find themselves surrounded by human warships that had been lying in wait, their positioning guided by the Nexus's perfect tactical awareness. Dominion vessels broadcast General Santos on all frequencies. "This is General Elias Santos of the Terran Reclamation Force. You faced the children of Earth, the world you tried to erase from the galaxy. Surrender, and you will be treated according to the ancient laws of war that your people ignored when they destroyed our homeworld." The commander of the Third Fleet, Admiral Krex of the Krell, was a veteran of 100 campaigns. He had never surrendered in his long career, and he did not intend to start now, especially not to a species that should have been extinct. "All ships, battle formation Theta," Krex ordered. "We will crush these human vermin and remind the galaxy why they were purged." The battle that followed was short but devastating. The human ships, guided by the Nexus, anticipated every Dominion maneuver. Gravitational weapons tore through the Dominion formation, while quantum-phased shields absorbed the enemy's return fire. Within 2 hours, the pride of the Dominion Navy was reduced to scattered debris and disabled vessels. Admiral Krex, watching from his flagship as his fleet disintegrated around him, finally gave the order to surrender. Across Dominion space, news of the Third Fleet's defeat spread like wildfire despite attempts at censorship. The myth of Dominion invincibility was shattered. More concerning to the Galactic Council was the mystery of human intentions. Thus far, the Terran forces had avoided civilian targets and had even allowed surrendered Dominion personnel to evacuate before destroying military installations. This was not the blind rage of a vengeful species. It was something more calculated and perhaps more terrifying. 7 days after the initial attack, Admiral Helena Vega appeared on every communication device throughout Dominion space, her image overriding normal broadcasts through exploits the Nexus had planted in the Dominion's networks years earlier. "People of the Galactic Dominion," she began, her voice steady and clear. "I am Admiral Helena Vega of the Terran Reclamation Force. 3,000 years ago, your leaders ordered the destruction of Earth, the homeworld of humanity. They believed that by destroying our planet, they would erase our species from existence." Her eyes, gray as the stormy skies of the lost Earth, seemed to look directly at each viewer. "They were wrong. We survived. We rebuilt. We remembered. And now we have returned to claim our rightful place among the stars." Helena paused, letting her words sink in across countless worlds and habitats. "We do not seek the wholesale destruction of your civilization. We are not like you. Our quarrel is with the leadership that ordered our extinction and the military that carried out that order. To the civilians of the Dominion, we offer this assurance. Surrender your military installations and withdraw your forces from the sectors we designate, and you will remain unharmed." As she spoke, detailed maps appeared beside her image, showing the regions humanity was claiming. A significant portion of the galaxy's Perseus arm, including systems rich in resources that had once been in the path of human expansion before the purge. You have 48 standard hours to comply. Choose wisely. As the transmission ended, the Galactic Council faced its greatest crisis in millennia. The humans had not only returned but held a significant military advantage. Their demand for territory was substantial but not existentially threatening to the Dominion as a whole. "We should negotiate," urged Councillor Frana. "The humans have shown restraint thus far. They could have targeted our population centers, but chose strategic military targets instead." "Negotiate with a species we try to exterminate," scoffed Councillor Jet. "They will never trust any terms we offer. This is merely the first phase of their revenge." Ambassador Vexnar, his scales now almost black with stress, shook his massive head. "We have no choice but to buy time. Our remaining fleets are scattered, our defenses compromised. We must appear to accede to their demands while preparing a counteroffensive." Little did the Council know that every word of their private deliberation was being monitored by the Nexus through surveillance systems that had been quietly compromised over decades. "They're planning to double-cross us," reported General Chen, reviewing the Nexus data. No surprise there. General Santos nodded grimly. "They're true to form. Proceed with Phase 4. As the 48-hour deadline approached, the final act of humanity's long-planned reckoning was about to begin. Legacy reborn. The 48 hours passed with tense anticipation throughout Dominion space. On countless worlds, civilians prepared for evacuation or conquest, uncertain of their fate at the hands of an enemy they knew only from historical accounts of a species that had refused to accept its proper place in the galaxy. In orbit around the gas giant Vexus Aya, the Terran command ships gathered for what would be the final phase of Operation Lazarus. The fleet had expanded further as hidden human outposts activated dormant ships and joined the main force. Nearly 1,200 vessels now comprised the Terran Reclamation Force, a testament to humanity's determination and foresight. Aboard the Retribution, the 7 generals met with Admiral Helena Vega to review the Dominion's response to their ultimatum. As expected, they're stalling, General Santos reported, reviewing data from the Nexus. "Their official communication accepts our terms, but their encrypted military channels are ordering all available forces to consolidate in these sectors." He indicated several star systems on the holographic display. "They're preparing for a counterattack," Helena observed. "Exactly as we predicted. The Nexus gives their plan a 17% chance of success against our current deployment," added General Chen. "They're desperate." Helena studied the display, her expression contemplative. "They still don't understand what this is about. They think we're merely seeking territory or revenge. Aren't we?" asked General Takahiro Yamamoto, who had commanded the assault on the Third Fleet. Helena exchanged a glance with Santos. "It's time to reveal the true purpose of Operation Lazarus." A holographic display shifted, now showing a distant sector of space far beyond Dominion territory. At the center was a star system with a planet surrounding it. "Project Genesis," Santos announced to the gathered commanders. "The true goal of our 3,000-year exile." The image zoomed in on the third planet from the star, a world with swirling white clouds over blue oceans and green continents. To any human, its resemblance to Earth was unmistakable and stirring. "New Earth," Helena said, her voice carrying an unusual softness. "Terraformed over 2,000 years to match old Earth's conditions precisely. The culmination of our scientists' work across 50 generations." The assembled officers stared in awe. Most had been born on cramped space stations or austere colony worlds. Even the most comfortable human habitats were poor substitutes for the homeworld none of them had ever known except through recordings and simulations. "The Dominion believes we want vengeance," Santos continued. "In truth, we want something they cannot comprehend. We want to go home." He gestured, and the display changed again, showing the complex network of Dominion gates throughout the galaxy. "We've captured enough gates to create a secure corridor between our current position and New Earth. The final step is to ensure the Dominion can never threaten us again. The Nexus solution, Helena added. Not genocide, as they would have chosen, but something more fitting. As the human leadership finalized their plans, the Dominion Council was reaching the end of the 48-hour deadline. Despite furious debate, they had reached a consensus, appeared to concede to human demands, while secretly marshalling forces for a decisive counterattack. Send the official acceptance, High Counselor Thranna instructed. Make it appropriately humble. We need to buy time. Ambassador Vexnar, tasked with composing the response, worked with a team of Dominion psychologists to craft a message designed to appeal to human sentiments. The final text acknowledged the historical injustice committed against Earth and agreed to human territorial demands in the spirit of a new era of coexistence. The moment the message was transmitted, the Nexus intercepted and analyzed it, detecting the insincerity in its carefully crafted phrases. On the Retribution, Helena received the analysis with a grim smile. Right on schedule, she noted. Initiate the Nexus solution. Throughout Dominion space, something unprecedented began to happen. The advanced AI systems that controlled everything from defense networks to agricultural distribution suddenly began to operate independently of their Dominion masters. The Nexus, humanity's greatest creation, had spent decades infiltrating the Dominion's technology, planting dormant code that now activated simultaneously across thousands of worlds. On Iltheris Prime, the Council was in session when the chamber's environmental systems shut down, plunging the room into darkness before emergency lighting activated. "What is happening?" demanded Councillor Jet, rising from his seat. A holographic projection appeared in the center of the chamber, the image of Admiral Helena Vega. "Honored representatives of the Galactic Dominion," she began, her tone coldly formal. "Your acceptance of our terms has been noted and found insincere. Your encrypted military communications betrayed your true intentions." Gasps and murmurs filled the chamber. The encryption on their military channels was supposed to be unbreakable. "Rather than respond with the destruction you would have visited upon us, we offer a different solution," Helena continued. "As of this moment, the Nexus, a synthetic intelligence of our creation, has assumed control of your critical infrastructure. Your weapons will not fire. Your ships will not launch. Your gates will not open except by our command." The implications were staggering. The Dominion, which had ruled through technological superiority for millennia, was now effectively paralyzed. "This is not permanent enslavement," Helena clarified, as if reading their thoughts. "The Nexus will withdraw from your systems gradually over the next century, as each member species of your Dominion demonstrates its ability to coexist peacefully with others. Think of it as a period of rehabilitation for a civilization that has forgotten the meaning of coexistence." She paused, her expression hardening. "Humanity will now depart from the regions of space you control. We have found a new home, far from your influence. We do not seek to rule you as you sought to rule us. We seek only to ensure you can never again attempt to exterminate a species you deem threatening to your dominance." With that, the hologram vanished, leaving the Council in stunned silence. Across Dominion space, the same message was being delivered to military command centers, government offices, and public broadcasts. The human fleet, meanwhile, began an orderly withdrawal from conquered Dominion territory. Ships moved through the captured network of gates, following the secure corridor toward New Earth. They left behind only automated stations to monitor Dominion compliance and serve as relay points for the Nexus. On the bridge of the Retribution, Helena watched as the stars streaked past during the final gate jump that would take them to New Earth. Beside her stood General Santos, his weathered face reflecting the culmination of a plan generations in the making. 3,000 years, he murmured. Was it worth the wait? Helena's eyes remained fixed on the view screen as the gate's energy field rippled around them. "Ask me when we see the sunrise on New Earth." The gate transition completed, and there it was, a blue-green jewel hanging in space, its continents shaped differently from old Earth, but its oceans and clouds achingly familiar to anyone who had studied the ancient images. "Home," whispered Helena, a word that had been theoretical for every human born since the fall of Earth. In the days that followed, the human fleet established orbit around New Earth. Colony ships began the careful process of settlement, with the first human feet touching the soil of a true terrestrial world in 3 millennia. Standing on a bluff overlooking a vast ocean, Helena removed her boots to feel the sand between her toes, a sensation she had never experienced before. The breeze carried the scent of unfamiliar but earth-like vegetation, and the sound of waves crashed against the shore in a rhythm that seemed encoded in human DNA. General Santos joined her, carrying a small container. "It seems appropriate," he said, opening it to reveal the soil from old Earth, the relic that had been preserved through the generations. Helena nodded, taking the handful and letting it mix with the sand of New Earth as she released it. "The circle closes," she said. "Not vengeance, but renewal." A chime from her communications device interrupted the moment. "Admiral," came the voice of her aide, "we're receiving a transmission from Ilthuris Prime. The Dominion Council is requesting to open diplomatic relations." Helena exchanged a glance with Santos, informed them that the Terran Federation will consider their request in due time. "For now, we have a world to build." As the sun began to set over the ocean of New Earth, Helena reflected on the long journey that had brought humanity to this moment. The Dominion had sought to erase humans from the galaxy, believing them too dangerous to exist. In response, humanity had proven them both right and wrong. Right that humans were capable of extraordinary feats when pushed to the brink, but wrong that extinction was the only answer. The legacy of Earth had not been erased. It had been reborn, 3,000 years, and countless light years from where it began. Elsewhere in the galaxy, the Dominion began its long process of adjustment to a new reality. The Nexus maintained its oversight, preventing military buildups and encouraging cooperation between species that had previously known only hierarchy and domination. Some called it humiliating. Others recognized it as an opportunity for a different kind of civilization to emerge. The myth of Dominion invincibility had been shattered, but in its place grew something potentially more valuable: the recognition that diversity of thought and approach, the very thing they had feared in humanity, might be a strength rather than a weakness. On New Earth, as cities began to rise and fields were planted, humans looked to the stars not with thoughts of retribution, but with curiosity about what might be discovered and created in this new chapter of their existence. 3,000 years of exile had changed humanity. They had not forgotten their past, but they had transcended it. The reckoning was complete, and the legacy of Earth, not conquest or dominance, but resilience, innovation, and the indomitable will to survive against all odds, lived on in a new world under new stars. The story of humanity was just beginning again.